Hey guys, how we doing? It's Wednesday Q&A and so we're a little bit late. Just actually we're doing an outdoor PT in the sense of I was outside because it's a nice little space that I've got here. You might have seen some of the workouts that I've done. Particularly I did list Tuesday's weights out here at the front garden, and I did last week's glutes and lower body, which as it turned out I did it basically as a continuous glutes workout. Therefore when I got to frog pumps I did think, is this kind of the right thing to be doing on my front garden? I'm really close under the wall, and because it's the way the street's laid out, it's really high onto our garden, so you'd have to be particularly looking out for it to see me doing frog pumps. And yeah, so hopefully no one saw, but if they did, hey ho, maybe it inspires someone to do a little bit of working out at home if they're not already. So I hope you're good. I hope you're having a good week. Wednesday, right in the middle of the week, sometimes called Hump Day. I've talked about this before. It's halfway between the weekend and the previous weekend. But for a lot of us, the weeks are looking a little bit different. And I know that's changing now with going back to work for some people. And yeah, times are changing, thinking about the kids going maybe back to school, depending on their ages. And it's maybe another little level of stress to kind of think about dealing with. But it's all still in the future, and it's good to look forward and plan, but at the same time we don't actually know what's happening. I've just been training two guys, a couple that they're both teachers, and they don't know exactly what's happening yet, and they're actually going to be managing it, making it happen as a primary school teacher and a high school teacher. That's what they are. So you know, potential's there for it to work, and it's just going to be obviously a bit of common sense. Hopefully, I don't think the authorities, whoever, will insist that you have to send your child to school. I don't think that's it's going to probably be done on a case by case basis, a personal thing, I would hope. So, what we're going to talk about this evening, I was going to talk a little bit about challenge and mindset around that, and then I'm going to talk about supplements because it's a bit of a kind of confusing area of what's food, what's a supplement, what's going to be beneficial for training, and what really maybe might be just beneficial for anyone, and what's not, because there's lots of good marketing goes on from these supplement companies, and they've got really great websites with lots of great claims, and they've got all these people on social media who they sponsor, as in send free stuff to, and then they kind of say, yes, you've definitely got to use this, it's amazing. So we'll kind of cut through a little bit of that, hopefully, as well. So I've been talking about this 100-day challenge, and that's just come about because I've connected with this guy through social media, through Facebook, a guy called David Berryburn, based up in the northeast, and he seems like a really cool guy. So we've had a few chats and back and forth, and he's got a business called FitPro Academy, and that is basically helping people like me expand their business in a good way, in a kind of ethical way. And what I really always want to do with my business is keep the personal in personal training, and not just become a kind of machine where I kick out workouts with not a thought to who's going to be doing them. I've seen that done, and I've seen that kind of mass thing done, and it's, for me, it's not the way I want to go. I definitely want to keep even online training as personable and as effective as possible. And yeah, he's just got some good ideas around that, and a lot of people in his position are kind of what a bit like business gurus. There's a lot of that in the fitness world, there's probably a lot of that in other areas. So like if I think about teaching, there's plenty of people that are coming to do teacher training and things like that, who maybe used to be teachers and now they're kind of more like a consultant. It's a kind of that sort of basis, but there's a lot of stuff out there in the fitness world that you guys probably won't even see, because it's like Facebook targeted ads and things like that. Because I see follow some fitness stuff, then these other ads will come into my world, and they're promising like earning £100,000 a month from online training, and then you can go to live in Bali because all you have to do is fire out emails and things like that. It doesn't really work like that, because I want to keep the personal in the personal online coaching. So that's the way I've kind of been going. And so you guys that have had workouts from me, who hopefully have seen that I try and put good instructional videos with it. I have the benefit of having worked with a lot of you in the gym and know the kind of movements and exercises that are going to be best for you anyway, and then build the workouts from there. And if not, then thanks to the power of technology, Zoom, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, all these different video things, I can actually see people and support them with what they're doing. And that's really the way I kind of want to go. And it might be a little bit more time consuming than just saying, here's my app or here's my pack and off you go. But what I want people to do is make good progress and understand what they're doing and why they're doing it, and that it's a process that's going to take a bit of time and the right way to do it. Just through, for me, connecting with more people through Facebook, because obviously that's my market, and through Instagram and things like that. Friends have popped up that it's turned out mutual, like we've got a number of mutual friends, so yeah, I think okay, they're probably into fitness or whatever. They're the right kind of target audience for me, which is usually professional people, people with a family, that little bit got responsibilities in life, therefore they need help to make fitness fit into their lifestyle, and how to make nutrition fit into the lifestyle, and across the whole family as well. That's the kind of people I enjoy working with, and that's my area of experience. So I connect with these people, and then got a couple of them, turns out, Juice Plus reps, and kind of Juice Plus, Herbalife, all in that kind of group, and then fitness people will come and kind of rip them apart. And that's, in some ways, that's right. People do get great results with things like Herbalife and Juice Plus and aloe vera and some of these kind of really what are actual fad things, more because they do the other stuff around it as much as the actual products themselves. So kind of on their down low in media, Herbalife paid off a whole bunch of money in a few countries because they were saying they weren't a pyramid scheme, so they paid the fines for that on the hush, and then they kind of got done in a couple of countries as well for some of the food quality, what was actually going into the products and the claims that were being made. And they seem to have dropped out of the consciousness a little bit, but they're sponsor Ronaldo, and they sponsor Real Madrid, or they certainly did. So they're kind of up there. They're obviously making a lot of money. They've got enough money to sponsor one of the world's biggest football teams. So obviously doing something, even if it's just amazing at marketing. Same with Juice Plus. There probably is a benefit to what those products are, but the truth of all these things is, what usually happens is, because someone's paying for product in this case, they then modify the rest of their behaviour to match the fact that they're using this product, and the advice will be there to, right, you just have this in the morning, you have this at lunchtime, you can have a normal meal, and you can have a little bit of what you fancy because you are doing these other things around the day. Basically what it does, as a lot of these different systems do, is it's just a different way of creating a calorie deficit. And then because people have paid for a product, they're more likely to stick to it. The downside comes that they don't necessarily then learn anything about nutrition and anything about how to have kind of a normal food intake with a bit of what you fancy here and there, and a drink at the weekend or whenever, and make it all work. And that's kind of the downside of some of these people that sell the stuff. They can become a Juice Plus coach or a Herbalife coach, and there's not much validity to that. I know, listen, I'm not saying I know everything at all about everything, but I do know I've put a lot of time and study into nutrition, and a lot of time and study into training, and also into doing it, so have practical experience at different life stages as well. So therefore, I don't want it to sound big-headed, but I could definitely advise someone better than a Herbalife coach who hasn't got any qualifications. And there are people out there that do Herbalife that are also, that kind of promote Herbalife as a secondary income to the personal training. So granted, they're going to have more of a an idea. I'll give you this example though. Someone I used to work with in Fitness First, kind of really driven, kind of like a real kind of alpha red type person. There's a guy, me and him were great mates, and I lost contact through life, and he went to work. He carried on with Fitness First. We went to Ibiza. He ended up, doing different bits and bats, and he got involved with Herbalife, and because it was something he could really progress in, it really suited his character to really progress and become like this big team leader, and they did really well with it. Only because of that, not because they believed in the product, just because it was something he could climb and do really well in. And he's a lovely guy. I'm not knocking him, but he's kind of living the dream, which is great. Out in Spain, out there with his partner, and doing more PT stuff again now. So it's been something for him that's kind of changed his life. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the product's the right thing for everyone. And in a sense, that kind of really good marketing and really good promise of results, people, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying people don't get results, they do. It's whether they can sustain the results, that's the thing. Whether they can then do Juice Plus for 2 months before they want to go on holiday, then they go on holiday, they come back, and then another 6 to 8 weeks after the holiday, they're back to where they started Juice Plus, because they haven't actually got a sustainable lifestyle plan in place to how to make nutrition work and how to make training work. And that's what I want to help people with, because I want them to be able to change their life for good, in a sense, as in to keep on going and overcome the obstacles that pop up for all of us. Like, you have more responsibility, you change jobs, relationships, kids. How do we navigate all this stuff? How do we navigate keeping healthy, fit, good nutrition during coronavirus? None of us could have foreseen this, and hopefully I'm contributing to help people at least maintain what they have worked towards, and maybe even, because I'm able to do more stuff like this, increase the likelihood of being able to implement and sustain more stuff afterwards. So, but on that marketing side, obviously Herbalife, massive machine, sponsoring Real Madrid and Ronaldo, and I don't think Juice Plus sponsors any sports, but obviously it's out there, and they've got all these kind of people using their friendship networks to promote it, and it keeps on going. The same on kind of Instagram, particularly with like your Geordie Shore a lot, and Only Way is Essex. I've been using this special tea for 3 days, and I've lost 15 pounds, Gemma Collins, that sort of thing. It was actually some other people in the fitness industry that really pushed for that ethical kind of thing of people have to say now on Instagram they change their own rules if the person who's promoting something has been given that and is getting financially rewarded for what they're saying, as in this is a sponsored post because this company has given me these things to use and try and then promote to you. And it helps to kind of filter the information a little bit, because if you've given a couple of grand because you've got 2 million followers to say that this particular product is amazing, of course you're going to say it's amazing, and you might well not have actually used it. There was a kind of thing on the BBC, I think it was like a Panorama, not Panorama, because that's they're a bit more serious. But there was definitely the thing where 3 or 4 people in that kind of sphere of influencer / Love Island celebrity were offered basically a fake product by reporters, and they were saying, yeah, we'll promote that, just bob the money in my account, do you want to use it? Oh no, I don't need to use it, I'll just say I've used it, and I'll get my top off and say, look at my 6-pack, this was the guys. And they kind of got found out for doing that. So the downside is a lot of people look up to these people and will believe them, and the fitness industry kind of more on the kind of slightly more serious side, rather than the kind of you can buy these tea bags and drink tea and this will help you. That's just an example. Kind of looking all the kind of magazines and looking the gym even, or at the supermarket now particularly, or the obviously get these supplement stores and places, obviously online as well. You'll have these people that are in a sense, professional fitness people. They might compete in bodybuilding, they might compete in physique, they might compete in different sports, and because they've got a high profile, the supplement companies will supply them, and it depends on how big you are, they will also kind of reward them financially to endorse the products. And some of it is because then they'll have their images on the marketing and advertising, which that's cool. People can there's models for clothes. In a sense, they're kind of modelling a lifestyle and promoting these products. But these supplement companies have massive ranges, and one of the biggest kind of guys in the UK and now internationally, I got to know quite well a few years ago through something I did for a supplement company, through a transformation program, and then literally was able to have dinner with him and breakfast with him and hang out with him a bit and see him train in the gym, train with him a little bit. And he actually said, I use 3 or 4 of the products. I can have whichever ones I want. This guy had a company car as well, like side written. So he'd go around to gyms and supplement shops and different things to promote the products. He said, but I only use like 2 or 3, 4 max. And basically let them, they send me the stuff they want me to put on social media and I just put it out. And I do filter it in the sense of, I won't say I will use something for a period of time and then say I've used it on social media. That doesn't mean it's a kind of thing that I use all the time. And that kind of really is an insight into some of the supplements. And there is kind of scientific research going on all the time for different products. And sometimes there is a study done that makes a certain claim, and usually in the scientific world, which I used to be part of as well, I was doing biochemistry as a degree. It takes 2 or 3 studies to kind of prove something because of how the studies are done. And sometimes you have to have kind of like a counter study, and then over time enough evidence comes together and then gets done. It's called a peer review, which is where kind of someone independent will take all the studies and say, was it a good study in the first place? Was the methodology good? And does it show what they say they're showing? And they're kind of really the best ones to look at. And there's a website called examine.com, and it's you can look up different supplements on there and for free, and then kind of look down their references. So they search all the scientific community, all the websites, all the places that stuff like this gets published, and then bring that evidence together. And they don't make a comment, they don't make a judgment about it. They just say this is the evidence that L-carnitine, that's the supplement that a few years ago was really getting pushed for fat metabolizing in the body. This is what the studies say about L-carnitine, and they list them in date order. So you can usually find a study that kind of encourage the supplement companies to go, do you know what, we're going to use L-carnitine in everything. For now, we're going to push it. It's going to go in protein powder. It's going to go in drinks you can buy. You can get it as a powder. You can mix in your own drink. And then a little bit after that, there'll be another study that kind of starts to counter it. And then for some supplements, you get to the point where actually it doesn't really do what they thought it did in this original study that the supplement companies jumped on. Now, there are some good supplements, don't get me wrong, there's some really good supplements, and it's kind of, you've got to kind of filter out the marketing and get into the ones that actually work. So I used to use 4 or 5 at a time, and then did a bit more kind of my own research and read some different things, and I can share the one particular paper that really helped me. It's got a lot of information just about natural bodybuilding. If you kind of get through, just skip all that, there's a section on supplementation. And it's actually done by 5 or 6 different guys, and it's basically a peer review of all the information. And it's got about how much protein, obviously geared toward bodybuilding, not towards just normal kind of nutrition and things like that. But some of it, it's like Formula 1 racing. Formula 1 cars, they're never going to see them on the road, but what they do to a Formula 1 car over time trickles back into normal cars in terms of brakes and safety and all that sort of thing, aerodynamics. It's a little bit like that in terms of scientific research, and kind of, as you say, that kind of bodybuilders on the extreme end of where someone wants to get to in terms of fat loss, then over time, kind of what people find out and research in that area will trickle back into normal life and get kind of changed into real world usage, in a sense. And in that study, and this helped me, creatine was right up there as a supplement that works. And subsequently to that, there's been more studies done with creatine. Now, creatine is actually the most researched kind of supplement that's not a kind of vitamin or a medicine that's ever been. And they've pretty much settled now that it does have a really good effect. And what they're finding now, as they change kind of the focus of the studies, is that creatine has a load of other residual benefits that might be actually an even better reason for taking it than just for the energy system usage that it's got. So creatine is you need to take it in a powdered form. Creatine monohydrate is part of the energy systems of the body. So the creatine phosphate system is where you do something explosive. So if I literally jumped up from here now and did 3 jumps, real half that, then the creatine phosphate system would what be supply the energy. It's the kind of explosive sprint energy system of the body. It'll kick in like that, really quick, boom, there's your power. So the theory is, and this is how it works, is that you have a plentiful supply of creatine in the body. Now, you can get it from red meat, but not all of us eat enough red meat. Probably for the other reasons to do with health, don't eat red meat all the time. Obviously, a lot of people these days are choosing more of a kind of less meat, more vegetables, to vegan lifestyle. So, supplementing with creatine obviously gets around that and puts these creatine phosphate levels back up. So the idea is there's plenty there. So when you're like training with weights or doing something explosive, the first section of your set of what you're doing is powered by the creatine phosphate system. If you can extend how long that's powered by, so say from rather than just the first couple of repetitions to 3 or 4 repetitions, then you can do more in the set, and the creatine phosphate system will stop working, but it's already carried you past the point where therefore you can do more, and therefore more muscle fibers working, more muscle fiber recruitment, more stimulation, more capacity to change, more likelihood of change. So that's the kind of training aspect of it. But what they're finding with creatine now is that it powers a lot more cells and can actually work over a longer period of time. So it'll kind of recharge itself and come back. So there's applications for creatine in endurance activities. There's applications for creatine in brain function. They're finding that a good level of creatine helps the brain work better and the nervous system work better. So these are all the benefits of creatine that they're finding now, because they've kind of decided that it definitely does work for the kind of resistance training aspect that they thought it worked for, and I found it does work for. They're carrying on the research and finding out, actually, do you know what, it does these things that, long term, keeping brain function going. They're thinking, can it help with things like Alzheimer's? Just it's a really cheap, basic supplement that you can buy a kilogram bag for £15, and that'll last you for 4 or 5 months. It's just a simple white powder. You mix it in a drink. If that's going to improve your life long term, then that's something to take. It's a bit like having a multivitamin. It's getting into that category. Should we all be taking a bit of creatine? The next one that I take regularly is another one called beta-alanine, and that is also to do with the energy system in the body. And what they found is that you take creatine and it does this much, put beta-alanine on its own, it does this much, put together it does this much. So that's generally I have it in a 1-to-1 ratio. Beta-alanine takes a bit more processing, and therefore it's more expensive. And if you take too much of it, if you've ever had like a pre-workout drink, it's the stuff ones that makes you feel tingly. So your kind of blood vessels in your extremities, kind of like your hands might tingle, your face tingles, that's quite a common one. And if I take it too close to a workout, in terms of, it's kind of better to have it around about half an hour before, if I end up taking it 10 minutes before or literally finishing it off as I'm doing the workout, my face will really like be at one point, and then it will die off. But what supplement, it does work really well. What supplement companies do with that is actually they overload pre-workouts with it, and I'll go on to pre-workouts in a minute, so that it feels like the pre-workout's definitely doing something. So that's that one. And then the third one I take is called Citrulline Melee, and that is another supplement that actually is a buffer for lactic acid. So that means that when I'm doing a spin class and my legs are really burning, they are burning later because of this particular supplement. Now, what I have found recently, and I need to research this before I buy another bag, is that the cumulative effect of Citrulline Melee can die off. So in a sense, you have to take a break from it, and then your body will respond better. That's just something I kind of read, kind of randomly off the cuff, so I actually need to research that better myself to understand that one. It might even be that this is another one of these ones that they've now decided it does work, but not as well as they thought it did. Therefore, I'm spending money on supplement I don't need. So on that, I used to take L-glutamine, which is another supplement. I used to have BCAAs, and they are both fairly expensive. They're both based around amino acids, and as I say, amino acids, as of what I've talked about before, I might give you a clue. So they're the building blocks of protein. That's what amino acids are. The idea with BCAAs is that there's these three particular ones that really drive muscle recovery, and the theoretical part of having them is you have them just before you work out or straight away after. You're flooding the body with these three different amino acids, leucine, valine, isovaline, in a 2-to-1 ratio. So two parts leucine, 1 part valine, 1 part isovaline. And then as you recover from your workout, straight away they're there rebuilding muscle, helping it get better. But what they've now kind of found, but supplements companies won't tell you this, is that you get plenty of those amino acids from a nutrient protein rich diet. So actually you don't need to spend £35 on a BCAA supplement. And I've literally had people say to me, oh no, I don't really need it, but I like the taste of it. That's expensive squash. That is very expensive squash. £35 for half a kilo. And yeah, it's definitely, Sarah, it's really relevant to add creatine. And it'll come with a little scoop. For you, you'd only need 1 scoop a day, about 5 grams, but you literally take it every day. And it's not time dependent either. I've actually got a supplement guide that I've been meaning to finish, so this talk will make me finish that and send the information out. It's not time dependent, or is it? Actually, I'll come on to that. So BCAAs, this is another instance where the theoretical side of it's really good, but the actual reality is, if we're eating a balanced diet with enough protein, we're getting all these things in. The only time I can see it being really necessary is if someone is into intermittent fasting and they do a very tight window, say 4 or 5 hours eating window, and they train before they eat, having some BCAAs just before you train, it'll break your fast, but it's going to be better than your body breaking up muscle for energy because you haven't eaten for 20 hours. That sort of thing. So the other relevant time for that is for people of different religions who fast and then want to still work out before they break the fast, which I've got some friends right now doing that through Eid. So that might be another relevant time for having that, but they're not a long-term kind of solution. As I say, it's quite an expensive squash. And same with glutamine. I realised actually what glutamine does in the body is important, but you get enough from your diet. If it's a varied protein intake from different sources, you're getting all 9 essential amino acids, as I said before, and then the other ones can be synthesized. So really the only time to start really thinking about where do these amino acids come from is if you're vegetarian or vegan and your choice of protein sources is much reduced. Yeah, so there's some ones I've knocked off. So pre-workouts, this is a big one for me. I would say it's generally slightly younger people getting into the gym. Obviously there's that kind of culture I see around of energy drinks, and I'm not knocking energy drinks. Most of them now taste good. Most of them are made with, there's lots of sugar-free versions. That's cool, you know. I really like the White Monster. I love that taste. But actually too much caffeine. That's the side effect, and I'll come to that now with pre-workouts. What supplement companies do to make sure they work is they superload them with certain things. So they superload them with caffeine. So we're not talking coffee level, we're not talking energy drink level, we're talking like super levels. And that can knock off your sleeping pattern. Plus, caffeine elevates your adrenaline, which actually then elevates your stress hormones. Then your cortisol has to kick in sooner. So your body's in a kind of yo-yo situation with pre-workouts. You're fired up, it works, it'll knock your tiredness off. You might have a great workout, but if it's later in the day or in the evening, then you might not be able to get yourself back down to be able to go to sleep. And actually, the recovery is as important. So if you can't sleep, and then knocks into your next day and your next day, then that was what happened to me when I used to have pre-workouts. I was very, very productive for 3 to 6 months, but then I was knackered because I hadn't slept properly for ages. So that's the reason, and to kind of think about their place. Another reason is now actually there's more research coming out, and one of the kind of staples of pre-workouts is a substance called taurine. It's in Red Bull. That's why they have the bulls, the Taurus bull, and it is really good for energy. But they're finding that it then stops the processing in the body of other parts of things like pre-workouts. So it might stop the creatine actually being absorbed. They're actually finding that it might actually have a negative effect against the caffeine. So although there's a really high level of caffeine in there, because they're putting taurine in as another energy booster, they're actually counteracting each other out. So it's looking at the ingredients and getting the good information. Back on the BCAA's one, we've actually found now that maybe it's just leucine that's best to have, and the other two start to inhibit the use of leucine. So it's, there's lots of counterpoints, I think is what I'm trying to say there, and it's better just to simplify things and have the ones that are definitely going to work, and in this case definitely less is probably more, in the sense of, plus you've got to remember to take it. So if you've got less things to remember to do, that's better. So kind of like a multivitamin and creatine, that probably be enough. Another good supplement, and I don't always have this, and I actually need to get some, is magnesium. Magnesium is great in the body because historically we would have always got it from our vegetables and those sort of sources, but over time the mineral levels in the soil have gone down, therefore there's not as much magnesium naturally in the food chain. So to supplement with it is pretty good. There's a couple of different ways of doing it. Magnesium citrate is one you can buy just as a powder. It's got a slightly lemony taste, or even better is magnesium and zinc. You can buy those together, and that's usually in tablet form, really easy to take. For example, on My Protein, you can buy magnesium and zinc, and then there's actually a kind of patented formulation called ZMA. It's basically the same thing, but you'll pay more for ZMA. So as long as the magnesium compound is a good one that's easily absorbed, then you don't necessarily need to pay for ZMA, because that'll be costing more. This will be a supplement guide. Beyond that, unless it's kind of specifically for a medical reason with a little bit of science to back it up, you don't need too much more stuff. Creatine, maybe beta-alanine if you train with weights a lot, and I mean a lot, as in that's your main sort of training. Other substances, other stuff to keep you healthy, that'll do. And I don't count whey protein as a supplement. I count it as a food source because it's convenient. It's got a really good protein profile, covers all the amino acids, and it's not a supplement for me anymore. It's a choice of food that I will have because I want to have it in a smoothie, or I want to add it to my cookie mixture. So that just really works, and it's a really good and quick way of getting 30, 40, 60 grams of protein a day, depending on how much you need. It's really, really convenient. and that's kind of the main benefit. To qualify that though, you don't necessarily need to have protein powder at all. So you know, it's weighing up what is the best place to invest in terms of health and training supporting supplements. So yeah, pre-workouts, as I said, for me the best thing is espresso, and off we go. So there we go. Quite a lot about supplementation. There's a whole wide world of supplements out there. So if you're confused by any of it before you buy anything, you know, please give me a shout. And you know, there's some different protein ones that work really well for different people. There's casein protein, which is more egg-based rather than whey, which is derived from milk. That could be really useful. Protein have brought out what's called clear protein isolate, and that is, rather than it kind of tasting like a milkshake type thing, it's more like just a drink. That looks pretty good as well. One of my clients has tried that. You know, but like a lot of these things, simple's better, and don't get kind of swept along in the good marketing. So yeah, hopefully save you a little bit of money for some people that are just that love different packets to hopefully drive their training. But actually, we just come back to the main thing is the principles of the nutrition and the training and the energy balance. And I've not got it ready, but I'll pull it down. There's a diagram, kind of like a pyramid, that's done in a textbook that I've got. I can find the image and share it. It basically puts these things in a pyramid of importance, a bit like the old food pyramid. And they put supplements in the top section, like the top of the pyramid, right out of the way. It's kind of the last thing to consider. Got to get the nutrition right, got to get the training right, got to get recovery right, and the supplementation goes on the top. Yeah, so hope that's been useful. Like I say, I've got some documents to share, and actually me saying I'm going to do that makes me actually finish things off, be accountable and get things out to you. So what I was talking about this morning for the fat metabolizing workouts was in the Q&A on Monday, but I saved that to YouTube, so I'll send you a link, Teresa. Okay, so you can watch through that as well. There's going to be a bit more on that this week, because I'm going to do a couple of workouts the next couple of Fridays in that sort of style. And as I said about the fat mobilizing the theory, because it is pretty intense, it's a good workout. Whether the kind of theory is not that sound, I'm still going to get a really good workout. And if it does work, even better in terms of actually mobilizing fat from specific areas as you work it. I'll try and share the other kind of articles about that as well. Cool, good stuff. Well, hope you have a good Wednesday evening. And yeah, tomorrow morning stretch workout 8 AM. Tomorrow evening we've got a glutes workout 6 PM, glutes and lower body. So plenty more to go at this week. Good stuff. Any questions, as always, drop a comment here. I'll pick that up or send me over a message. Have a good one, guys. See you later.